Welcome back to Roots and Roasts. Today we're covering indoor Echeveria care. Not just the basics, but the proven methods to help your succulent thrive. Whether you just received one as a gift or you've been growing for a while, this guide breaks down lighting, watering, soil, potting, and more, all rooted in decades of horticultural research and field-tested best practices. Echeveria is a rosette-forming succulent from the arid, high-altitude regions of Mexico and Central America, places where sunlight is intense, rainfall is sparse, and soils are gritty and fast-draining. These conditions shaped the plant's biology over thousands of years. Every trait it exhibits, from its thick, waxy leaves to the symmetrical rosette form, is a built-in survival mechanism. The rosette design isn't just beautiful, it's functional. It funnels any rare moisture down toward the base while minimizing leaf surface exposure to scorching sun. The fleshy leaves act as water reservoirs, allowing the plant to endure long dry spells without wilting. When we bring Echeveria indoors, we're asking it to adapt to a very different environment, one with filtered light, regulated temperatures, and often more moisture than it actually wants. That's why successful care indoors means carefully mimicking its native desert-like environment. The right light, minimal water, porous soil, and breathable containers. That's the formula to support its physiology and allow it not just to survive, but to truly thrive in an interior space. Light is non-negotiable when growing Echeveria indoors. It's the single most critical factor in whether the plant thrives or fails. This species evolved in high-elevation, sun-intense ecosystems. To replicate that indoors, it needs a minimum of 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight per day. That means a south-facing window is ideal. West-facing is a close second, especially in cooler climates. If you're an interior designer or a lighting consultant, here's what to consider. Place Echeveria within 12 to 24 inches of the glass to avoid ambient light loss. Glass itself reduces UV and PAR, photosynthetically active radiation, so proximity matters. Light filtered through sheer curtains or placed too far into the room will quickly lead to etiolation. That's the term for leggy, stretched growth that distorts the rosette. In spaces where natural light is limited, think office interiors, apartments with northern exposure, or rooms shaded by trees. I recommend supplementing with a full-spectrum LED grow light. Choose one that includes the full PAR range. Mount it 12 to 14 inches above the plant and run it on a 10 to 12-hour cycle. This not only maintains compact growth, but ensures vibrant coloration and healthy leaf thickness. Visually, you'll know the plant is unhappy if it begins to pale, stretch, or cup inward. That's a signal to adjust light levels. From a design perspective, placing the plant on an elevated stand or plant shelf directly in front of a bright window integrates functionality and aesthetics, keeping it within the phototropic hot zone while adding form to your visual composition. Unlike tropical foliage plants, Echeveria is built for scarcity, not abundance. It's a true drought-adapted succulent. Its thick, fleshy leaves function as living reservoirs, storing water drawn up through its roots and retaining it for weeks. Indoors, this means the number one mistake people make is overwatering. Let the soil dry completely before watering again. Not halfway dry, completely dry. If you're unsure, test by inserting a finger 1 to 2 inches into the soil. If there's any residual moisture at depth, wait. And if your pot feels cool or heavy, that's another sign moisture is still present. Always water at the base, never from above. If water collects in the central rosette or between tightly packed leaves, it can lead to internal rot. That type of rot often isn't visible until it's too late. So direct your water to the soil level and only water until it runs out the drainage holes. If you're growing in terracotta, which I recommend, you may find the soil dries faster due to the breathability of the clay. That's a benefit, especially in more humid homes, but always let the plant dictate the schedule. Never follow the calendar blindly, follow the plant's cues. Drainage is not optional when it comes to Echeveria. These succulents have evolved to thrive in porous, mineral-rich soils that dry rapidly after rare rains. Their roots are adapted to brief periods of moisture, not prolonged saturation. When grown in containers, especially indoors, the number one cause of decline is root rot caused by inadequate drainage. Always use a container with at least one drainage hole. Multiple holes are even better, especially for larger pots where water retention can be uneven. Never place Echeveria in a decorative cache pot or ceramic planter without a drainage outlet, unless you're using it as an outer cover for a smaller, well-draining nursery pot. Let's talk pot materials. Terracotta is the gold standard. Its porous structure allows for passive evaporation through the pot walls, which helps regulate soil moisture and prevent anaerobic conditions at the root zone. This breathability is especially helpful in humid or low airflow environments. Unglazed ceramic also performs well for the same reason. Avoid plastic containers unless you're confident in your watering discipline and are using a coarse, fast-draining mix. Plastic retains water longer and does not allow evaporation through the container surface, increasing the risk of root suffocation, especially in cool or low-light rooms where evaporation slows. Bottom line, the right pot material acts as a silent partner in plant health. It helps regulate the soil environment without constant input from you. And for a drought-tolerant species like Echeveria, that makes all the difference. The soil you use for Echeveria plays a critical role in its health. This plant is not adapted to rich, moisture-retentive soils. It comes from mineral-heavy, gravelly landscapes with fast runoff and zero organic buildup. Replicating those conditions indoors is the goal. Always start with a pre-mixed cactus or succulent soil blend. These are designed with drainage in mind. But even those mixes often need tweaking. For better performance, combine 2 parts of cactus soil with 1 part of either coarse horticultural sand or perlite. This increases porosity, improves airflow, and ensures water passes quickly through the root zone. Pause here for a moment. This is where most people unknowingly sabotage their Echeveria. Avoid standard potting mixes unless they are heavily amended. These often contain peat moss, cocoa coir, and other organics that hold too much water for too long. Never use garden soil or compost straight from outdoors. It compacts quickly, lacks proper drainage, and can harbor pests, pathogens, or fungi. Don't add water-retaining crystals or gels. These are designed for tropical plants, not succulents. Echeveria doesn't need frequent repotting, but staying ahead of root binding is key to long-term plant health. Plan to repot every 1 to 2 years, not just to give it more space, but to refresh the soil structure, which breaks down over time and reduces drainage. As potting media ages, it compacts. Compaction cuts off airflow to the roots, holds moisture longer than it should, and creates anaerobic zones where bacteria and fungi thrive. Repotting restores the fast-draining conditions this succulent demands. You'll know it's time to repot when you see roots circling the bottom of the pot, coming out of the drainage holes, or when the plant becomes top-heavy or lifts upward. That's called heaving. These are all signs the root zone has maxed out the container. Repot only into dry soil. Never repot in a damp mix. That's crucial. The roots are vulnerable after transplanting, and moisture invites infection into freshly disturbed root tissue. After repotting, wait 5 to 7 days before watering. This gives micro-tears in the roots time to callus over, reducing the risk of rot. Here's a step-by-step repotting guide. Pause and save this part if you need a refresher next time you repot. Echeveria is not a heavy feeder. In its native environment, it draws nutrients slowly from mineral-rich but lean soils, not compost-heavy or nitrogen-dense substrates. That's why overfeeding can do more harm than good. But light, time feeding during the active growing season makes a visible difference in color, structure, and resilience. Use a balanced fertilizer, but dilute it to half strength. You're not feeding a leafy vegetable or a flowering annual here. You're supplementing a plant that thrives on moderation. Apply once a month from spring through early fall, generally April through September, depending on your region and indoor temperature stability. In the winter, halt all feeding. Echeveria enters a dormancy or semi-dormancy period, where metabolism slows and nutrient uptake drops. Continuing to fertilize during this phase risks a salt buildup in the soil, leading to root burn, leaf edge crisping, and long-term stress. The three pests you'll see most often indoors are mealybugs, fungus gnats, and scale. Mealybugs, white cotton-like clusters at leaf joints. Remove with rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab. Fungus gnats, caused by overwatering and organic-rich soil. Allow soil to dry and use sticky traps. Scale insects, brown, hard bumps on stems or undersides. Remove manually and treat with neem oil. One of the advantages of Echeveria is how easily it propagates, making it a perfect plant to multiply your collection or share with others. It reproduces in two main ways, through leaf propagation and through offsets or pups that form at the base of a mature rosette. To propagate from a leaf, select a mature, healthy leaf from the lower portion of the plant. Gently twist and pull away at the base. A clean break is key. You want the entire leaf to come off intact, including the small stem connection. Damaged or incomplete leaf bases won't root. Set the leaf in a dry, shaded area and allow it to callus over for 2 to 3 days. This callus forms a protective barrier that prevents rot once it contacts soil. Then, lay the leaf on the surface of dry, well-draining soil. Don't bury it. Place the tray or pot in bright, indirect light. Mist lightly every few days to keep the air humid, but avoid soaking the soil. After 2 to 3 weeks, roots will begin to form at the base, followed by a tiny rosette, the beginning of a new Echeveria. Once roots are well established and a baby plant is growing, you can reduce misting and gradually begin bottom watering. Mature Echeverias often produce offsets, miniature rosettes, around their base. These can be removed with a gentle tug or a sterilized blade. Let the offset dry for a day or two to callus, then pot it up in dry soil. Wait 5 to 7 days before the first watering, just like with repotting. Prune away dried or damaged lower leaves regularly. These leaves not only detract from the plant's appearance, they also become targets for fungus gnats, mealybugs, and other pests. Use a pair of sanitized shears and remove them cleanly at the base, without damaging the living tissue above. Propagation and maintenance aren't just about making more plants. They're about extending the life and health of the one you already have. With the right timing and a light touch, Echeveria will reward you with multiple generations of growth. Echeveria is one of the most forgiving succulents if you get the light and water right. That's the foundation. Everything else fine-tunes the growth. For more detailed care tips and to shop curated containers, check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching Roots and Roasts. And if this helped, like, share, and subscribe for more plant care guides rooted in experience.